Miserable was the second episode of The Critic, first broadcasted on February 16th, 1994, as the fourth episode of the show, even though technically it was the second produced episode. But, kind of like nowadays with most of the animated shows in prime time, these episodes were produced out of order. And, with a show like The Critic, it really doesn't really matter in terms of, like, a story structure. Every episode kind of doesn't have, like, a continuing storyline going, so it's just kind of weird that it was like this. Like, every time if you see this on DVD or when you watched it on Comedy Central, it was always the next episode after the first episode that came on. But this aired as the fourth episode, but written by Steve Levitan, who of course would later go on to create Modern Family as well as Just Shoot Me, and directed by Dan Giup. You have the story here where Jay falls for this female projectionist played by the criminally underrated Pamela Reed, who of course you remember as Ruth Powers from The Simpsons. She's also been in a ton of other different things. Parks and Recreation. She was more notably known back then for being in Kindergarten Cop as well as Melvin and Howard, The Right Stuff, a ton of great movies. Very underrated actress that wasn't always used properly, but every time she came on, she was always nice to see in anything, shape, or form. Specifically in this episode, she's really great in this, but we'll get to her in just a little bit here. But she plays a female projectionist who turns out to be an obsessed fan of his, and the episode is obviously a parody of Misery, with Pamela Reed's character playing the Kathy Bates role, and John Lovitz' Jay Sherman in the James Caan role, and for a majority of the episode, it is literally a straight-up parody of Misery, and a pretty funny one, too. You also get a lot of funny parodies of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Do the Right Thing, Indecent Proposal, Taxi, a lot of different things here. Of course, you have movie parodies in here, like the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids one is Honey, I Laminated the Kids, which is really funny to watch. And then Indecent Proposal 2, which seems like the perfect type of a sequel that you would expect for a film like that, which is basically just a retread of the last movie, except it's even less than that.
I'd like to sleep with your wife, and I'm prepared to pay $6.
Last time you paid us $1 million.
I know. At the time, I was worth $1,006,000.
And it's a really good gag, and there's a lot more to it, but the Misery subplot is really solid, with Reed doing a pretty good job channeling her inner Kathy Bates in this role very well. And honestly, something I never brought up before in my original written review for this, the more I watched it again, this one plays a lot with some nice visual angles to it. Like, there's a lot of moments in this when they get into the Misery subplot where they really do experiment with, like, some of the angles and some of the camera shots in here. Like, when she poisons Jay, like, as soon as he drinks the thing and you see a close-up of her eyes just, like, start going, it's hard for me to describe, but her eyes to, like, become more obvious in the shot, and everything else just goes into like pure darkness, and like it happens a couple of times throughout the course of the episode. And it's really cool to see them experiment with that. I think it is very funny the way they handle that, and the humor once again is really good. You can pinpoint to the buy my book bit.
Buy my book. Buy my book. Buy my book.
Sorry, it had to be done.
Why? All he said was, buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book!
I'll be quiet.
Which is hilarious, but there's all these little gags in between that just get me laughing so hard. Like, there's the Jay Sherman videotape rewinder, and when the tape ejects, it's Jay's... Like, when I first saw that really made me laugh a lot the first time I saw it, but there's even a couple of risque jokes for the time that are really funny. One bit in particular that I don't think it could get away with it today because of how sensitive and easily offended people can get with it, but it's this idea that, like, there's a whole thing in the beginning where Jay is like, he's depressed because he can't really find somebody to really love him, and every time he sees a woman that might be interested in him, something happens. Like, he'll see a woman on a bench, he'll sit there, the bench goes up in the air, and it's another guy who look like Jay, except he has like a mustache and all that, even has the same voice. And then there's one on the subway where he meets somebody, and she's thinking to herself, I wonder if he knows I'm really a man. Like, and then the one that I thought was like, this one might be a little tough to do nowadays. There's one where Jay is literally fantasizing about the Statue of Liberty stripping out of her cloak, and it's just like...
No, when you really look at her, she's pretty hot.
Jay, I'm more than just a symbol. I'm a 151-foot woman with needs.
Oh, sweet liberty.
It's a funny bit, but if that was done today, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody got a little bit offended by that. But it's still a really good joke. I thought that was very well done, and like. And so if anything, this episode also gives one of Jay's friends in this, probably his best friend, Jeremy Hawk, played by Maurice LaMarche, more of a role in this because, you know, Maurice LaMarche does a very good job as Jeremy Hawk. That's something I really forgot to mention in the first episode because he does play a good friend to Jay, and like he and him have some good friendship, like good chemistry, like you can believe their friendship, and. Couple of really good gags in the first episode. I like how in this episode, like when he goes to save Jay and he's got a shotgun with him, and Jay's just like, Jeremy, you're just an actor. You don't know how to use that thing. And he's just like, it's just a gun for God's sakes. It's not a bloody Xerox machine. And he shoots him in the leg. It's just like, can we take that again?
Drop that knife.
Jeremy, you're just an actor. You don't know how to use that thing.
It's just a gun, for God's sakes, not a bloody Xerox machine.
Ow! Idiot.
Whoops. Can we take that again?
Like he's still on the set of a movie because that's something that they referenced in the episode early on, and I like that they gave him more of an arc in this episode to work with here. I thought that was very well done, and you know, there's not really many flaws with this episode that I can think of. I even like the little twist they pull at the end at the episode to pull a fast one on the audience. There's a great bit where, you know, it's been a couple months after he's been taken hostage, and Jay goes to his restaurant that he goes to, and then he sees the woman again, and oh, you think this is going to be something like in Misery, and then the twist is that, no, I can't believe, and the twist is like, she goes, I can't believe you asked me out again after all that, and he's just like, well, you did try to kill me, so I kind of owe you for that, and I thought that was very well done. I thought that was a really good, fast one that they pulled on there, because we know she's not going to show up again after this one, but I thought that was kind of fun of what they were able to do with that, but, bottom line, a really good, hilarious episode all around, from the spot-on Misery spoof to all those great little bits of comedy they throw in there, some nice, different takes on, like, camera angles that they use in this, some great animation all around. It's another great episode, and I really can't recommend this one enough, so definitely check this one out.
Excuse me, sir. The show's over.
Is the snack bar still open?